They say history repeats itself. Well, in the Big 12 championship, there have been two games in which the undefeated favorite lost. Kansas State played in both of those. Will it happen again this Saturday against TCU? It's time to find out with our team site experts, Jeremy Clark and Tim Fitzgerald, here to break down this game. Guys, let's start with the quarterbacks because there's not two, there's three we want to discuss here. TCU's Max Duggan has played his way into almost every awards list out there. As for the Wildcats, sounds like we could see Adrian Martinez or Will Howard. So, Tim, what can we expect from the QBs?
Well, it's pretty interesting because the first time around, Adrian Martinez got hurt, and Will Howard came in for the first time this season. They'd wanted to redshirt him and not use him unless Adrian got hurt, and it's happened now twice this season. And this team really belongs to Will Howard at this point. He has played at such a high level. And it's really nothing to do with how Adrian's played. He's been an incredible leader on this team. He is available in all likelihood if Will Howard gets injured, which, as you all know, there's a history here with quarterbacks not making it through the game against TCU. In fact, K-State got down to their third quarterback in that first meeting. As for Max Duggan, I'll put it this way, he'll be on my Heisman ballot.
Well, that's a good thing about TCU. You don't have any surprise with who you're going to see from a Kansas State perspective. It is going to be Max Duggan. Duggan is playing, quite honestly, the best football he's played in his career at TCU in 4 years. I don't think he's just been the guy who's completed all these passes. He's thrown all these touchdowns. He's protected the ball, but he has just become a great leader. Everyone knew that Max was kind of having that warrior mentality all season long, but he's really shown it this year. He's making great decisions, as I said. He's throwing a lot of touchdown passes, and he's running the football well still. And he had a big game against Kansas State earlier when they met up. He threw for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and Kansas State had a lot of trouble containing the rush game for TCU. And it's going to be interesting to watch on Saturday again.
Now, between Sonny Dykes' first-year staff and Chris Kleiman's success at K-State, their coordinators are getting a lot of looks for head coaching jobs elsewhere. Jeremy, why are these coordinators so vital to the programs?
Well, I think if you look at TCU with Garrett Riley especially, I mean, look at that offense, the way they've improved. They've improved almost 2 touchdowns this year. They're throwing the football well, and I think a lot of that goes to how well Max Duggan's playing, how well that offensive line is playing, and really how good the receivers are playing. But Garrett Riley he's done a tremendous job of staying with the game plan. And what I mean by that, if they're struggling running the football early on, he's not going away from it. He's not trying to throw the football. They haven't gone out and had a game where they're throwing 55 passes and running the ball 20 times. So he's stuck with that game plan. He's made it very simplistic for Max Duggan. When they played against Baylor a few weeks ago, even Max Duggan said they went back to the day one passing concepts, those final 2 drives against Baylor. And that was huge, and that's what Garrett Riley has been able to do for the Frogs offense. Defensively, Gillespie has continued to get that defense playing well. The last 4 weeks, they played extremely well. They're known as one of the best second-half football teams in the nation, and one big reason for that is because of the coaching of Joe Gillespie.
Well, it's easy to focus on Colin Klein, the offensive coordinator, when we talk about K-State coordinators, because Colin has grown up a lot since that first game. This is his first year calling plays, and we saw him back off the gas at the end of the second quarter after Kansas State had scored 4 straight touchdowns, and you can't do that against TCU. TCU grabbed the momentum, scored 2 straight touchdowns, and took over the game. But really, the star coordinator is Joe Klanderman on the defensive side. Thanks in part to TCU's blowout of Iowa State, Kansas State ended the regular season with the best scoring defense in this conference. So this matches up the best scoring offense and the best scoring defense. These are 2 really good teams led by really good coordinators.
Well, Tim, you mentioned it. Last time these 2 teams played, Frogs came back from a 18-point deficit for the win. So what's the X factor in this rematch?
Well, for me, and Jeremy mentioned it, they couldn't stop the run game in the second half. They couldn't get the defense off the field. And a big part of that was K-State had incredible attrition that first time around. Just so many guys left the field with injuries, and they virtually had no starters healthy on the field at the end of the game. And Daniel Green in the middle of that defense, his middle linebacker, really sets a tempo, a kind of a frame of mind. He's a violent hitter. He runs the ball extremely well, and he was gone for that entire second half, and he's going to be very crucial if K-State wants to stop this really aggressive and physical Frog offense.
TCU can't get down again against Kansas State. I think last time when they were down 28-10, I don't think they really had a big problem going against Kansas State's rush defense. Like I said earlier, they stuck with the game plan. But Kansas State's playing a lot better football right now, and I think Will Howard is the better quarterback for Kansas State. I felt like if Will Howard would have played against Texas, Kansas State's beating the Longhorns. So I think the good thing for TCU right now is they understand last time they played Kansas State, they prepared for Adrian Martinez. He got hurt early on. Will Howard came in. A lot of people remembered Will Howard from his freshman season down at TCU when he came in, and him and Deuce Vaughn were able to get a win out of Fort Worth. But Will Howard's the big factor for Kansas State, and how well TCU secondary can limit the big plays. Everyone talks about Deuce Vaughn for Kansas State, but I'm talking about those receivers. Malik Knowles, to me, is one of the top receivers in the nation. Not only Big 12, I think he's one of the top receivers in the nation. And Warren and Brooks, those two guys complement him really well. If TCU gets down early, I don't think this is going to be the same result. So TCU's got to start fast. They got to have that same kind of start they had last week against Iowa State. Iowa State had the #1 defense coming into the game in the Big 12 last week, and TCU was able to put up 24 quick points in the first quarter and went on to a huge victory.
Great stuff, guys. Appreciate your time as always. And for more news and updates on TCU and Kansas State, check out Horned Frog Blitz and GoPowerCat.com.